Hi everyone, I'm Anthony DiMoro, and this is Sports Rants Now. For those of you that remember Ranchers Insider, well, this show will be a very similar format where each week we release a new episode where I'll be discussing some of the hottest topics circulating the world of sports. And we're going to start off with a doozy. Pete Rose, the Major League Baseball legend who had been campaigning for years for reinstatement into Major League Baseball in an attempt to eventually get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Well, that story took a dramatic turn earlier this week when evidence was publicized showing that Pete Rose gambled while being a player. Now, this completely changes the narrative when it comes to Pete Rose. Now, prior to this, like last week, I would have thought that the chances were good that Pete Rose would have been reinstated into Major League Baseball. I don't know if he would have eventually been inducted in the Hall of Fame because it's two separate steps, and I think you're dealing with more purists when you're trying to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I thought Pete Rose's battle, it would have been a small victory to get reinstated in Major League Baseball, and it would have been another war going on to get into the Hall of Fame. I think it would have been two completely different animals for him, and I'm not confident he would have eventually gotten to the Hall of Fame. Now, what he did as a player, does it justify an induction in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. But now that we're entering into this whole new narrative that he lied and that he did indeed gamble as a player, you can't. I don't think the biggest Pete Rose fan can even justify him going into the Hall of Fame with this new evidence on the table. You can't. And basically, you're going to be rewarding a cheater. He cheated the game, folks, and the grand scheme of things, and he cheated everybody. So he'd been campaigning for years. He's a likable guy, likable personality. He's very lovable. I mean, he's a fan favorite, and I get it. But I found it interesting because I went on social media, Twitter, @Anthony DiMoro, and I asked everybody, in your opinion, what's a bigger offense? Is it Pete Rose's cheating or gambling, or is it A-Rod's PED use? Now, I know it's an apples to oranges comparison, but it's interesting how people defended Pete Rose, and it was dramatically in Pete Rose's favor. They thought A-Rod was the bigger offender, and I get why. A lot of people felt that A-Rod cheated the game, altered results, whatever, and Pete Rose really didn't do that. But I would argue that Pete Rose's offense is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's worse than A-Rod's, but we're pretty much on par here, folks. Now, I'm going to sound like an A-Rod apologist here, which I'm not trying to be, but A-Rod operated in a game using PEDs where majority of the players were using PEDs in an era where PED use was prevalent. That's true. Now, he came out and lied. But I find it interesting that I think if you took the two faces out of this, now I specifically asked your opinion on A-Rod and Pete Rose, because I think the likability factor comes in here. And I don't think that's fair to any case or either player, because people like Pete Rose more. They're more apt to forgive him. They're more apt to justify his actions, and more apt to give him a pass, so to speak. But because A-Rod is so vilified, he's hated, and he's always been that way, he's more damned, if you will, than Pete Rose, where I don't get why that is. I mean, if you took the personalities on it and I just asked PED user or gambler on the game, then it becomes, I think it's a much more level result in comparison. Now, A-Rod, he isn't likable. PED use, yeah, whatever. He lied, he cheated. But what's so different from Pete Rose? Now, let's take the action out of it, because I know PED use and gambling are two completely different things. They both bold-faced lied for years. Bold-faced lied. Pete Rose did it multiple times. He campaigned for it for years and years, and lied and lied and lied. And now it's come out that he wasn't telling the truth when he tried to tell the truth, or the complete truth. So I think it's an interesting debate that we're going to have to continue to move forward with and have several discussions in the future with. But it's an interesting debate. Again, I think this is the nail in the coffin with Pete Rose in terms of the Hall of Fame. I actually would argue that A-Rod has more of a chance to get into the Hall of Fame than Pete Rose. And I think that's an interesting topic to be discussed at a later time. All right, the next topic I'm going to discuss is this white-hot trade rumor that has DeMarcus Cousins going from the Kings to the Los Angeles Lakers, and it's centered around the Lakers' second overall pick in the NBA draft. Listen, I know a lot of players, if you're looking at social media, you see people retweeting or sharing things that players have tweeted out in the past about George Karl being the snake. I have all the respect in the world for George Karl as a coach. I think he does a tremendous job. I think this is what the Kings need. I don't necessarily agree they need to trade DeMarcus Cousins. I'm going to look at it like this. If all the players listed that people shared, criticizing George Karl, calling out a snake in the grass, whatever, only one of them has ever won an NBA title. J.R. Smith hasn't won one. Carmelo Anthony didn't win one. Andre Iguodala did. But these are some of the players from the Nuggets and other tenures that Karl has had that criticized George Karl. So I find it interesting that people nitpick this stuff. Listen, George Karl's running the show in Sacramento, the Kings organization, which has been pretty much in shambles for over a decade. And, if they got to make this move to get things right, trust in it. Now, from the Lakers' perspective, I don't think this is a great move for them as long as Kobe Bryant is on the roster. I think he's toxic to that roster. I think his ego's toxic to everything. I mean, we had a report come out a couple months ago, I think it was, where Jared Dudley came out, a basketball player, and basically shed some light on players do not want to play with Kobe Bryant anymore. It's too much. And I don't think, you can sit there and say, who the hell is Jared Dudley? But the reality of it is, I don't think that's too far from the truth. I think he's a pain in the ass. I didn't find Dwight Howard to be a very likable player, but he couldn't make that situation work because of how demanding he is and the type of personality he has. And you think it's going to be that much better with DeMarcus Cousins there, who's kind of that alpha. He's going to come in there and he's not going to take crap from Kobe Bryant. So I immediately suspect that if this trade goes down, which I don't think is going to go down, there's going to be some rift there between Kobe and DeMarcus Cousins. While Kobe is still playing, that is going to be really a big deterrent to the Lakers moving forward. I don't think this is a great deal for the Kings. You're going to get the second overall pick. There's a lot of good prospects in this draft, but there isn't that one prospect, that one draft talent that's coming out, or two draft talents that you absolutely are must-have, can't misses. There isn't. This is kind of like a level draft for the first 5 picks, I would say. I think you're not too far removed from the talent you can get at number 1 from the talent you can pick up at number 5. I think it's pretty level. You don't have like a LeBron James type coming out. You don't have a Carmelo Anthony type coming out. You don't have these type of players. I think they're all going to be good players, but I don't think there's that one that you absolutely have to have, and you got to make it happen. Franchise shifting type of talent as soon as you draft them, it's not here. So why on earth would the Kings make this trade? Now I get, if George Karl wants to blow that up and get rid of DeMarcus Cousins, finds him too problematic, then I find it justified. I don't think the match there is for what LA would be able to offer. If I'm the Kings, not rich enough. Second overall pick, players you can try to throw in. I know they're trying to facilitate a trade and involve Orlando Magic in there and get some talent moving. Doesn't get it done for me. Plus, now that the Lakers, it's being publicized that the Lakers are pushing to trade Sacramento. We know Vlade Divac came out and said the Kings aren't interested at all at trading DeMarcus Cousins. Regardless, it's public. There's going to be teams that are going to be calling up the Kings, and believe me, they're going to give far much better value than what the Lakers can give. And I think it's a better situation if DeMarcus Cousins goes somewhere else. I could sit here and list a number of teams and trade scenarios, but we don't have that much time. But at the end of the day, and Kings fans, Lakers fans, there's a lot of debate going back and forth. And Kings fans are looking at this, and a lot of NBA fans in general are like, well, the Kings are stupid. George Karl's stupid for trading DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins has been on the Kings for a couple of seasons now. What are you really losing? And I'm not saying that to detract from DeMarcus Cousins, who I would absolutely love to have a centerpiece of my team to build around. But my point here is saying the Kings are the same exact team, maybe a couple wins more, maybe slightly improved with DeMarcus Cousins than they were without him. So what are you really giving up here? Is it really a blow-up if DeMarcus Cousins is gone? Does it really drop this team out of 5 to 10 wins? 5 wins maybe? Drops them 10? perhaps. But where was this team with DeMarcus Cousins? That's the question. Where were they? Bottom of the barrel, folks. So if the Kings want to blow this up, they believe it's the right move, absolutely all for it. All right, folks, that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Rants Now. Now, be on the lookout. We have some changes coming to Sports Rants. I know I've been discussing the Sports Rants Radio Network, so I'll touch on that a little bit. Basically, the premise is we're going to create a dual website platform. So 2 websites are going to be operating, where we're going to connect fans and sports fans alike to their favorite sports talk shows and help them find podcasts and sports radio shows on one platform. So you're not going to have to do a ton of searching, social media searching to find a sports talk show. You can find your favorites. You'll be able to connect with new ones. And this is all going to be on 2 websites, on sportsrants.com and also on a new website we're developing called sportsradio.pl. It's in development right now. More details are going to be released shortly regarding that. And be on the lookout for that for all interested podcast hosts, sports radio hosts. Now, the network is not really a network, as you can submit your show. We're going to air it for you. It's not that. We're not we're not setting up a program or anything like that where you can submit your show. But if you are interested in details when we do launch Sports Rants Radio Network, simply email info@sportsrants.com with podcast in the header. Tell us about your show. Tell us about all the details. Listen, we're only going to put on established shows. We're not going to put on any shows that are just starting or anybody who wants to start a show. This is all going to be shows that are established. We want to connect fans with the shows that they're used to seeing and find other quality shows that have been on the air for a minute. So again, info@sportsrants.com. All right, I'm going to be back tomorrow. Well, actually, Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. So tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this video, look at the latest edition of the Anthony DiMoro Show, my podcast on Sports Rants Radio. Be on the lookout. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @Anthony DiMoro. Go on over to sportsrants.com, create your free fan profile, read all the great content going on at Sports Rants, connect with other fans, communicate, and most of all, rant. All right, folks, as I said, this is going to wrap up another edition of Sports Rants Now. We're going to be releasing another one next week, so be on tune for that. And I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm Anthony DiMoro, and this has been Sports Rants Now.